Good morning. Good morning. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today, we're going to get back into some of the first Simpsons decodes that displayed predictive programming that were ever done 10 years ago on this channel. This is right at the, I'm not going to say we were the absolute first channel to do Simpson decodes. I don't know that, but 10 years ago is pretty far back. Now, of course, the predictive programming and all of that being on display is now mainstream media. Like the mainstream is literally reporting on these bizarre synchronicities. But 10 years ago, that was not the case. Now, before we get started, I got a couple of headlines. Remember the ring over Kansas City, the weird Ouroboros that we had on yesterday's show? Some guy caught it on camera, went to the local news station. Now it's going viral. And several of you said, hey, Casey, that black ring is something that's already been established. It's actually appearing all over the world. And I was like, really? So I looked it up, and you're not going to believe this. From last year, an identical ring. This was reported by Fox News. Well, let's play this, you guys. This is creepy. It's the same ring.
Out to the station with image black ring appeared in the sky in Hampton Roads on Tuesday. Several Wavy TV 10 viewers reached out to the station with images and video of the ominous-looking ring floating in the sky. The messages started coming in shortly after 11 a.m. on Tuesday. One Wavy viewer sent in a video when he was working in the vicinity of Eastern State Hospital in Williamsburg. Another Wavy viewer was in the area of Old Moortown Road. He stopped to snap some photos. We discovered news articles and social media posts describing other similar sightings. Reports said a fire or some type of explosion could have caused the ring. We did reach out to the James City County Fire Department to see if there were any reports of fires or explosions at the time. The fire chief had not heard of any. If you know what caused the black ring or have any pictures or video to add to our coverage, please let us know on wavy.com.
So there you go. Weird. This is why you guys come to this channel, because we don't just report the news. We look for patterns. We're investigators. We put two and two together.
At 4 o'clock.
We connect dots that no one else is really connecting. And so this was August 15th, 2024. This was last year. And this was in Virginia. So here we are. There's a report from Virginia. There was the other report within the last week from Kansas. The exact same object. Now, let me go back into the chat. Good morning. What is it? That's a very good question. Well, I believe it's a portal. We've been talking a lot about these portals. So the fact that it's in the shape of an Ouroboros means something, doesn't it? And so I was like, okay, what else is going on? Well, a couple of you mentioned that the ring also looked like the same ring from the sci-fi movie Arrival, and you are 100% correct. It's the same thing. Now, what was the Arrival about? Now, we had just decoded this. I actually decoded it a couple times. I think I decoded this film twice, because I'm always finding new stuff when I decode this stuff. But basically, this film came out, I don't know how long ago it came out, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, I don't know. But it had some pretty big name actors, and it was about all of these weird cup-like spaceships. It almost looks like a pasty, doesn't it? That came out, and they were all over across the world, and everyone was freaking out. They're like, what the heck is going on? And the language of the aliens inside was this circle, this carbon graphene looking circle that spun around. And this is how they communicated with the humans that went inside the spacecraft. Now, there's another element to this, because they're saying also that when this thing was spinning around and when these people were entering into the spaceship, there was some kind of weird shift in time and space. When they would enter the spacecraft, it was almost as if time and space was altered. Gravity was altered as well. So whatever that's about, I don't know. but these are just more clues. Why are these things appearing from, completely different local TV stations, people sending these images in? If they were faked, the TV station would never run the photographs and all this, right? So it's got to be something. Now, a lot of people say, oh, Casey, this stuff probably always existed, but, more people have cameras and stuff in their hand. And so this is why we're picking up on more of this phenomenon. But I think something a little bit different. I think that we're entering a time of signs and wonders, a type of supernatural activity. The Bible says that in the last days, men will see things that will make their hearts literally fail out of fear. If you're not prepared in the Lord, these kinds of things will freak people out. Now, check this out. This is another crazy phenomenon. By now, you guys have seen this. Did it? Oh my goodness, did it show up? Did it mess up? I was going to show you guys some video of this bizarre lightning balls. And have you guys seen some of the videos on the lightning balls that are happening right now? Basically, it seems to occur when it's raining, like a torrential downpour, and there's some kind of lightning storm. And these plasma balls of lightning just roam around, almost as if they have a mind of their own. Almost as if they have some kind of intelligence. Like they're seeking or searching for something. And so by now, many of you have probably already seen these, they call it ball lightning. And you can go on the Facebook and type in ball lightning, or just do a search on ball lightning, and you'll see some of this phenomenon and activity. And it simply looks unbelievable. It's unreal. It's absolutely some kind of new phenomenon. They say, the first reported ball lightning was back, so many years ago, such and such reported that he saw something. Well, I don't particularly believe that. I think this would have been caught on camera years and decades ago, and it's something that is kind of a brand new phenomenon. Now, let's get started on these Simpsons decodes, and then afterwards, we may have time for some headlines. Let's start with this first one. Now, I got to put this together in a playlist. This was Joan Rivers. And let me get you the date on this. This was September 5th, 2014 is when I uploaded this. Well, let's hit the play button.
Hey guys, Enter the Stars. Joan Rivers, as you know, passed away on 9/4/2014, just a few days ago. This is all about her death, and we see it foreshadowed in the 23rd season of The Simpsons, the 8th episode. So we have our 2332, which is the skull and bones, of course, and 8, which is time and everything we've been talking about. August 28th, she experienced serious complications, stopped breathing during a procedure on her vocal cords. She was then put into a medically induced coma. At that point, she was on life support, and then they tried to bring her out of the coma. And then at that point, the following few days, she died at 13:17. And here's our 3773 number once again. But wait until you see what I'm about to show you on that episode of The Simpsons, as Joan Rivers comes out of a hospital room with an IV, a blood bag, and it is clearly her appearing to possibly even come out of a coma. Unbelievable foreshadowing here. Let's take a look. Now remember, Joan Rivers' death comes on the heels of her publicly announcing that Michelle Obama is a transsexual and that Obama was gay. Let's take a look.
The size 48. That's when he was the funniest.
How would you know?
I was Fatso's agent. Annie Dubinsky. If you ever hear a star's name and wonder, is he dead? The answer is either I represent him or yes.
Well, let me ask you something. Is there a place for an old-fashioned lard-ass like me on today's television?
Would you play a bloat?
And of course, you see the IV here hospital room that she walks out of, this character, played by Joan Rivers.
A corpse on CSI? Would I? That's good blood work.
He always comes back really religious.
And immediately after that scene, we see 3 cups on a table, 2 of them labeled with a 6, and they infer that the 3rd cup also has a 6. So we have 3 cups on the table, and that's 666. And just before this scene, we see the clearance. Time for Joan to go. And here is Joan walking out of the hospital room. Now listen to all the time references in this segment. Now remember, this is episode 8. 8 is time.
Who here likes nostalgia?
Everything's perfect about the past, except how it led to the present.
Then welcome back the original Tick-Tock the Clock.
Would that I could turn back time and never play this career-killing role.
Ooh, looks like Tick-Tock is telling us it's time for... What's in Krusky's pocket?
Here's more of your Skull and Bone references here. 322 backwards. And here we hear Krusty tell Joan, "Come on, wake up," out of the coma.
Is it over? Can I open my eyes? Hey, come on, wake up! Hey, come on, wake up! Hey, come on, wake up!
And of course, the 10% Solution episode of The Simpsons aired on December 4th. Exactly 3 months, Joan Rivers would die back in 2011. They also encode in the episode number the date of her death, 9/4. Here. Take care and be safe, you guys.
Next, Tony Bennett.
Hey guys, enter the stars. This is Tony Bennett, and he is 88 years old. Now, Tony Bennett was the first celebrity to play himself in the Simpsons animated series, as it states here. Now, this episode took place in 1990 on 11/8. 8 times 11 is 88. The episode was called Dancin' Homer. Now, Tony Bennett was just in the news a few days ago with Lady Gaga, one of the #1 Satanists in Hollywood. And they did some kind of a duet jazz collaboration together and appeared at this restaurant. This is a very long article. I have not taken the time to actually go through it in detail. But what I'm going to show you next are 88 references throughout the episode Dancin' Homer, seeming to allude to the possibility that Tony Bennett, at 88 years old, is a possible sacrifice. Let's take a look. Now, Tony Bennett was born in 1926. Listen.
Here you go, Bart. Springfield Cozy Court Motel, room 26. How about it? Flash.
Wow.
This man sings the national anthem for exactly 26 minutes.
Dan Horde, Mike Side. Tonight, our isotopes take on the pesky Shelbyvillians. The Topes are looking to snap that darn 26-game losing streak, longest in professional baseball. How about that?
Feel like a king.
Wow, that's service.
And it makes a king feel like some nutty cuckoo super king.
Look, it's Tony Bennett.
Hey, good to see you. It's the against the law to frown to see.
4th Street and D.
4th Street and D, yeah. Once you get a whiff of it.
4th Street and D.
4th Street and D, yeah.
Hey guys, Enter the Stars and a couple of loose ends to tie up on Prince.
So, this video uploaded 9 years ago, May 3rd, 2016. This probably is one of the most powerful Simpsons decodes we did on Prince. Prince appearing in The Simpsons. Let's watch.
It appears as though he made 2 actual appearances in The Simpsons episodes. 2 actual appearances. Here's one called Radioactive Man. He made another appearance in the Treehouse episode. Now this is interesting because numerologically, both of these episodes that he appeared in seem to point toward the date of his death. This one was the 4th episode of the 20th season, 420. And in the leap year, 420 is really 421, the day that he died, the 111th day of the year. Now, this air date in which he appeared, in which Homer killed Prince during this Halloween episode, it aired on November 2nd. That's 11/2. And of course, he died on 2/1. That's that backwards. 2008 is 2 times 8 is 16. So that's 2016. Now, let's look at this other episode, in which they show Prince staring at a computer monitor. And, gosh, this gold door back here almost could represent this vault everybody's been talking about. But look at the specs on this Radioactive Man. Now, this episode was 21 years ago in 1995. 21 years ago. And as I said, this was a very brief, and this was like the first time Prince was shown in The Simpsons. 21 years ago of him sitting in the computer desk. And not only was it 21 years ago, but look at the date of this air date, September 24th. Converted to the Julian calendar is 9/11. 9/11 has 111 days left till the end of the year. And Prince died on the 111th day of the year. So once again, we have 2 episodes. The Treehouse episode in 2008, 8 years ago, on 11/2, which is 21 backwards. The 4th episode of the 20th season, that's 420. He died on 421. And then we have the other episode that predated that one, 21 years ago, on 9/11 in the other calendar, which was the mirror date of the day he would die 21 years later, because September 11th has 111 days remaining in the year, and Prince died on April 21st, the 111th day of the year. Pretty bizarre stuff, you guys. Now, there's another episode that was unreleased, and that's what they're seeming to focus on, like in this particular news article. And they released like the script to it. I believe that was to draw attention away from the other discoveries. And so obviously we did find what they wanted to hide. Now that we know that in this episode that Prince is killed by Homer Simpson, but what we didn't know is that Prince appears with Shakespeare. And Shakespeare was recognized this year for 400 years. And Obama recognized Shakespeare as well, 2 days after Prince died. So this episode seems to point forward to Shakespeare.
Can't just sit here while they exploit our images.
Now it's interesting, they don't show Shakespeare until this scene.
Jeez.
Hey, George Washington!
They don't even show him here. He doesn't appear in heaven until here. There he is right here. William Shakespeare. And you see that he's standing next to Prince. And there's the money shot right there. Prince is death. And the 400-year anniversary of Shakespeare. All in one scene. Take care and be safe, you guys. Prince passed on the 111th day of the year. 9/11 has 111 days remaining in the year. So he passed on the mirror date of 9/11. He also passed on the birthday of the Queen and the Prince.
Okay, everyone, listen up. The artist is on his way up the elevator.
In the elevator, definitely in the elevator.
This is... Okay, everyone, listen up. The artist is on his way up the elevator.
In the elevator, definitely in the elevator.
That's right, honey. Give that Bella Lugosi look. Throw me onto the street, huh? Yeah. Perhaps Madame would like to conduct the search. I wonder where that came from. Another thing, too, that's really weird about this is there's just wads of money laying around this guy's house. And he's got just wads of like $10,000 sitting around his house. And I mean, you wouldn't think that somebody, like him lived here who has money and could pay someone to clean and all that stuff.
Fascist.
That yin-yang sign we got... Hey! Boy, security in this place stinks. Boy, security in this place stinks. Boy, security in this place stinks.
27 years ago, on the 227th day of the year, Aerosmith sang a song called Love in an Elevator. The Prince of the power of the Aerosmith sang a song about love in an elevator on August 15th, 27 years ago, on August 15th, the 227th day of the year. This is the song, and it talks about loving it up till we hit the ground. Nobody gets out alive. I hope we get stuck. In the air, in the air. Love in an elevator. Going down. The song talks about reading between the lines and working for the company. And right off the bat, we see the Prince-like references. Unbelievable. This is how Prince dressed. Kind of like Shakespeare. But we know that in this episode that Prince is killed by Homer Simpson. But what we didn't know is that Prince appears with Shakespeare. And Shakespeare was recognized this year for 400 years. And Obama recognized Shakespeare as well, 2 days after Prince died. So this episode seems to point forward to Shakespeare.
Can't just sit here while they exploit our images.
Now it's interesting, they don't show Shakespeare until this scene.
Jeez.
Hey, George Washington!
They don't even show him here. He doesn't appear in heaven until here. There he is right here, William Shakespeare. And you see that he's standing next to Prince. And there's the money shot right there. Prince is death. And the 400-year anniversary of Shakespeare, all in one scene. It appears as though he made 2 actual appearances in the Simpsons episodes. 2 actual appearances. Here's one called Radioactive Man. He made another appearance in the Treehouse episode. Now, this is interesting because numerologically, both of these episodes that he appeared in seem to point toward the date of his death. This one was the 4th episode of the 20th season, 420. And in the leap year, 420 is really 421, the day that he died, the 111th day of the year. Shakespeare, the 400th year. And that's how Prince dressed, like Shakespeare. Look at how cryptic this is, you guys. Love in an elevator. Loving it up till we hit the ground. This goes on. Here's the video. Kissing a frog. The prince. That's a prince kissing a frog. And there he is. In the Hebrew year 5757, this episode of Muppets Tonight aired. This is the Hebrew year 5757. Here it is right here in black and white. And that is when Prince died at the age of 57. Now I want you to watch and listen very closely. This in effect showing Prince walking into an elevator where he would be found dead is in effect showing that this year he would die at 57. Now this is the album that Under the Cherry Moon came from. And of course, Prince died on a full moon. But here's what's more interesting. The length of the soundtrack is 40 minutes and 57 seconds. Prince died at 57 years old. The song Under the Cherry Moon on the album also to have 57 seconds in its length. Do you think he was trying to tell us something? Again, 30 years ago, before his death. I would die for you. The number 4, the month of April, the letter U, the 21st letter in the alphabet, showing when he would die, 421. And this is the stunner. When you pull up the numbers on this license plate and simply transfer alphanumerically each letter that you see on this license plate, here's what you get. These are the numbers here. And when you unscramble those numbers and remove the 0, because when you deal with numbers, you remove the 0, it reveals the exact date that he would die. At 57 years old, 9/11, upside down and backwards. He died on the 111th day of the year, and 9/11 has 111 days remaining in the year. He died on 4/21. The woman in Under the Cherry Moon that got Prince killed, Kristen Scott Thomas, born on May 24th. The 144th day of the year, with 2/21 remaining. All digits accounted for. The date of his death, 4/21, 4/21.
Is Mac afraid to die? Yes. I ain't afraid of shit. Are you afraid of bats?
Now, when you think about what's going on an esoteric level in this movie, you begin to understand the underlying themes. The purple being the red and the blue mixed together, and that representing Prince.
What, you've been living in a box for 40 years or something?
That's rich. But seriously, it's been more like 41 years. I was just wondering, would you ever consider working with a dummy?
Hey, we got a great idea for the final number.
Yes.
Listen, we go to a football stadium with 5,000 white rats.
Yes, but get this. They're dyed purple.
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Wow.
Nice to meet you.
Perform a living, dancing version of your symbol on the 50-yard line.
Yeah, what do you
Perform a living, dancing version of your symbol on the 50-yard line.
Yeah, what do you think?
Wait a minute, guys. My name has a very spiritual...
All right. So what do you want to do then?
I just want to go out on the stage, sit at the piano, do a nice little simple number with the help of a few angels.
Oh.
Angels? Man, where are we going to get angels this time of night?
Don't worry, I got my own.
Okay, Dr. Rorschach, I'll play along. I see my mother and a butterfly doing the mambo on an orange.
Check the list, fool.
Pretty mouthy for a guy with no name.
In show business, right here.
Hey, how many of these drawings of my mother are out there?
Well...
I can see bear tracks coming after me. Excuse me, y'all. Excuse me. That there song refers to bear tracks, right?
Yes, why?
Well, them ain't no bear tracks.
They ain't?
Nuh-uh. Them's gator tracks.
No. This is a correspondence course. I'm learning to be an osteopath. You know, a bone doctor?
Well, that's great, Sal. But first of all, a bone doctor's called a boniologist.
Man, Sal, what happened? What did you do to Kerm?
What do you mean? I made him feel better. Now, excuse me, I'm just going to go study the chapter on pop-up pelvises.
Kerm, you okay, Kerm?
Songs about food. You know, songs like I Want to Hold Your Ham. Another one bites the crust. That one kills me.
Not if I kill you first.
That one kills me. Not if I kill you first.
This is the symbol for Baal. This is a letter. The letterhead from Under the Cherry Moon that Christopher Tracey signed his letters under. This is Christopher Tracey's letterhead, Prince's letterhead in the film Under the Cherry Moon. Baal worship, sacrifices. Christopher Tracey's parade, right from the texts. He followed Baal with supreme delight, provoked the Lord, the God of Israel, more than all their kings had ever done before. As if to act was but a little thing, like Jeroboam, once an Israel king. He took a princess Jezebel to wife, a woman of a most ungodly life, the daughter of Ethabaal, then well-known Zidonian king, and brought her to the throne. And then he built a house for Baal in Samaria. An altar he to that dumb idol reared, poor lifeless Baal as a god revered, that he might pay devotions with parade. Christopher Tracey's Parade. The Wicked Prince. A grove for idols made. We have Prince, Baal, a parade. And you can't make this up. In an 1823 book of poems, Harvard University. And as we wrap up the saga of the death of Prince, more stunning revelations. This is the NFL YouTube channel. The NFL YouTube channel with almost 1 million subscribers. The official NFL YouTube channel. And on the first day of Lupercalia, February 12th, they released Prince's performance of Purple Rain during the downpour at the Super Bowl 41. 69 days before he would die. 3 days after this release of this video on NFL YouTube channel, 3 days after, Vanity would die from kidney failure. 3 days after. And 66 days before Prince would die, Vanity died. Now, she was born on 1/4, which is Super Bowl 41 backwards.
Wow, pretty powerful, right? So it was never just about shooting in the dark on this channel. It was always about a very specific set of circumstances and numbers and synchronicities that we just followed through to the end. And now they've been confirmed over and over and over again. And I think that last video speaks for itself. How literally in the Muppets, they predicted when Prince would actually perform in the Super Bowl years and years and years later, the 41st Super Bowl. And it was a marching band and 50-yard line. It was all there. So all of this stuff is predictive programming. It's just a matter of, are people going to believe it or are they not? Now, let's cover a couple more of these headlines. One of you sent me this. Now, we've been talking about this Fungus thing, the Last of Us TV series, but we were talking about this Fungus thing long before The Last of Us came out. Remember? We were talking about Candida. We were talking about how a couple of other movies about fungus that we had decoded before The Last of Us ever even came out. The Last of Us, of course, is the TV series that's now on its second season, and it's all about a worldwide epidemic of fungus that is overtaking humanity. So now all of a sudden the fungus is a thing. They're now saying that because of global warming, that now fungus will attach to everybody and basically kill off the human race, or at least put us in an environment where everyone's walking around with fungus on them. Rising global temperatures may increase the environments where the fungus Aspergillus thrives. New types of Aspergillus are resistant to existing treatment and can cause a lung disease called aspergillosis. So now this is a thing. So thanks to the subscriber who sent this to me, this confirms some of our early work on the fungus. This was dated May 6th this year. Check this out. They're saying Tren de Agua gang members attacked the New York Police Department. Let's see if there's sound on this. No sound. So here you see the cops standing to the right, and all of these youth pretty much come up on these cops, start throwing bottles and all this stuff. Cops are running around. A couple punches thrown. I mean, whoa. Now, when I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, cops are probably not going to pull their guns because there's a huge crowd of people and they could accidentally, hurt someone else. But imagine if these gang members had guns. Look at that little kid. There's a little boy here. Like, who took a shot at the cop there. He's like 10. That's insane. So here's where we're at, you guys. This is crazy. Where did this happen? This is New York Police Department. 11 teen members of the ultra-violent Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua were allegedly involved in an attack. Now, if you didn't know by now, it would be very easy to track these people down. Apparently, Trump is working on this, doing this, or so we're told. In this age of electronic capabilities, it's very easy to track someone's, buying habits, license plates and everything. They won't use that technology for a reason that might be justified, but they'll use it on the rest of us, right? To track us. But it would be pretty simple to find these people, I would think. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Now, if you hadn't heard by now, another U.S. Navy aircraft fell off of the carrier. This is the second one. A Super Hornet. $60 million jet went overboard on landing. So here we are. Another one went over. That's insane. The fall of freedom. And here come the first boats from China with 145% tariffs. And they're saying the boats are half full. So here we are back in 2020, just like before with the supply chain issues, which means the cost of goods is going to go through the roof. And of course, it involves mostly China. Again, it's like we're living in Groundhog Day. 4 years later, and the same thing is happening. Expect shortages soon, they're saying, preparing us for this. So the cost of everything is going to go up, and there isn't going to be much left to buy. Here's a story on Palantir. Defense contractor says massive cultural shift in the U.S. has justified 20 years of thankless toil. They want us to believe that over the last 20 years, nobody listened to us. Really, they were planning this all along. We tracked Palantir back through several administrations, didn't we? Back through the Biden administration and the first Trump presidency, he was already starting to link up with Palantir. They just had to wait for the appropriate time for the technology to catch up and for Trump's second term. But this guy, he wants us to feel sorry for him. Alex Karp is feeling vindicated as corporate America warms up to his company's flagship AI offering and revenues from its bread and butter government work continue to increase in the Doge era. Karp is known for his brazen and philosophical commentary, but it doesn't appear to have gotten in the way of results. Palantir commitment to serving U.S. military and intelligence agencies long made it an outlier in Silicon Valley. No. They're just setting this up for what's happening right now, which is the complete and total surveillance state. Now, if you've had student loans in the past, here's our last story for today, and I'll be back in the chat. Trump says, as of this summer, 5.3 million student loan borrowers will have your wages garnished this summer. Wow. Right out of your paycheck, if you have not paid back your student loans, will put many people into poverty based on how much they're going to take. It says all 5.3 million defaulted borrowers will receive a notice from the Treasury that their earnings will be subject to administrative wage garnishment, the department says in its first timeline of the enforcement action. This is huge. Again, this will put a lot of people who are already barely hanging on into a position where they're not going to be able to afford to get through life based on how much they garnish their wages. If we have any indication of what the wage garnishment will be, we could look at what Social Security does when you owe them money. They simply stop your checks until they get caught up. So, will they take all of a person's paycheck? Who knows what they're going to do? But this is insane. Now, you're probably thinking, oh, well, Casey, people borrow money, they should pay it back. I completely agree with that. But here's the problem. First of all, The cost of education is inflated. It's inflated probably 300% of what it should cost to get an education. It shouldn't cost you $100,000 or $150,000 in tuition to get a degree. Okay. You're never going to be able to pay that back, making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 a year. It's going to be a lifelong debt. And the other thing is, a lot of people did pay into their debt for, maybe 3-5 years. So they paid a lot of the interest off on those debts. And so you have to ask yourself, is it fair? Is it fair? Is it fair? How do billionaires and millionaires not have to pay their debts? They can file bankruptcy and get away with a lot of the stuff that they do. Right? So I have a little bit of sympathy. Now, I paid off my school loans, but my education only cost me $15,000 back in the 90s. And back then, that even felt like a lot. It felt like I was never going to pay that off. $15,000. Now I had my tuition was paid for through grants, but what I had to borrow was for living expenses, rent, some books and stuff. And I was able to pay all of that off. I think it took me, I want to say 5 years to pay that off after I graduated from college. But it was a burden even at that point. I think my payment was like $180 a month, maybe $200. I can't remember exactly what it was. But this is crazy. You guys, they don't need that money back from people. I mean, how much is it really? How much is our government waste? Do they really need a couple $2 billion in student loans back from people? No, they're doing this to oppress people. Right? Why don't they take some of that money that, Elon Musk supposedly saved and throw it at the debt? I'd rather have them do that than oppress an entire class of people. I don't know. What do you guys think? Take the money we saved from Doge and help people pay off their school loans. It's their tax money anyway that they've been paying into. I don't know. So, there's nothing worse in life than to try to advance yourself, to try to go to school, right? And then life happens, doesn't it? You get sick or you get pregnant or something happens and you're not able to finish school. But that debt doesn't go away, does it? So now you've got this hanging over your head. And I just don't think it's fair. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All right, you guys, I'm back in the chat. Now, tomorrow, the 1997 movie called Mimic, which seems to be happening right now in Trump's 79th year of life, 1997, and then 79. And in the movie, there's cockroach milk, there are pandemics, there are mRNA vaccines, twinning. There's even a newspaper headline from Victory Day, 1945, which Trump has just named as an official holiday just days ago. The film even released on Trump's birthday in 1997. We'll be covering the movie Mimic tomorrow. Crazy. All right. Yes, Florida man, they didn't teach the money system in school for a reason. Everything they teach you in school is a distraction. Okay? When you go to college, it teaches you to be a slave, basically. They don't tell you how to build true wealth. They don't tell you how rich people get wealthy by basically using money that they get to get assets and then borrowing against those assets that they never pay back those loans on. They don't tell you that. I never got that lesson. All I got was trained, and you don't even really get trained. Okay, when you graduate with a Bachelor of Science degree, you're pretty much useless. They don't train you to do a real job, like, an accreditation of some kind or skilled training. There's no skilled training that comes along with that. I didn't get a skilled, license to operate a printing press. And they go, oh, you don't need that because you're going to be a manager. Well, how far does that get you? Not very far. So it's all just a scam is what it is. If I had to tell young people today, I would say find something you really like and go get an accreditation or some kind of technical degree, maybe working on windmills or something. If you're not afraid of heights, some kind of, technical degree, or plumbing or heating and air conditioning. That's the only way that you're going to have long-term security without spending a fortune on your schooling or whatever. So, okay, I'm in the chat. Yes, get a trade, just a girl. Yes, absolutely 100%. All right. What happened to our chat? Chat's like slowing to a crawl. It's called a trade school. Thank you, Skies Over Spokane. Celia's son is a journeyman carpenter. I got a license as a nurse, but they push the jabs down our throats, so I can't work in any of the hospitals. Yes, Christy. I really went to bat for the nurses during the pandemic. I said, you know what? This is not fair that a group of people who just happen to work in the industry, how their degrees basically go obsolete when they stand up and make a choice not to do something. Okay. And we all know what that thing was. That's just simply not fair. You can't throw away someone's entire degree just because they refuse to put something in their body. But yet that was the case for many nurses. So Mega Truth says, my husband has a plumbing business and I'm homeschooling my 3 boys. No, I wouldn't have it any other way. There you go. And you probably support your husband in his business, maybe doing checks or whatever, processing checks, or, that's the way life's supposed to work, So that is amazing and awesome. All the great doctors left while hacks walked in. Yes, Crystal. All right, you guys. Guess I'm going to pop off of here. Thanks for showing up. Tomorrow will be Mimic. I'll put all the links in the pinned comment, as I always do, for today's show. And I will see you guys all tomorrow. Much love.